welcome to our May video lesson, where this month we explore this idea of clarity, revolution, and a spiritual evolution, receiving a call to leadership. And as we go through this lesson, I really hope that you too will take away, what is that call? What is that yearning that God may be reaching out to you for as well? Now, it was funny during this month, as I'll talk about some of the key points of this idea of a call, I truly thought he had the wrong number. Some of the areas that were getting revealed to me, I thought, no way, he's not calling me. He must be trying to call somebody else. So to help with our video lesson today, May, the month of May, right? Beginning of May starts with a little May Day basket. This happens to be a big one. And in here, I have a few different items that go along with our talk. So the first one is a phone, and you notice it's not a cell phone, even though in the reflections I do talk about a cell phone, because we can all relate to that. I'm actually using my cell phone to video this. But anyways, this whole idea here of a cell phone challenge is the concept of, you know what? Wouldn't it be amazing if we treated our communication with God like we do our cell phones? So first of all, where do people keep their cell phones? They're always with them, right? And they're always available if someone texts, someone calls, responds. It just seems like now everybody has instant communication and instant responses. Wouldn't that be awesome if we were like that with God, always ready and always willing to make a call and be available at any time? And I use this analogy of, the cell phone and like us. So if we look at, also in here, we have something that we all can't live without either with our cell phone, and that is our chargers. Because we wouldn't get very far. Once our battery dies, we have to charge in. So the thought is, the cell phone is what we see on the outside in our communication, and then inside is the battery. And we all know we have to charge our battery, right? We have to plug in and charge our battery. But the question is, what is it that you are truly plugging into to get recharged? Is it something around God that can really supercharge you and help you get fulfilled and get that extra power current going through your mind and your body and your spirit? Or are you charging into other things that might actually be draining your energy? Sometimes people think different kinds of technology, like Facebook, for example, can recharge us, right? We can get reconnected and communicate with those we love and good friends and lost friends and everything. And yet at the same time, we've been hearing more and more studies about how this type of communication can actually decharge us. So in this first reflection where I talk about the cell phone challenge is to really think about, how it is we are communicating, and could we, should we, would we think about communicating with God in the same way that we do with our cell phones? Then I talked about this idea of a wake-up call. So sometimes, we need to get those wake-up calls in our life, and when that alarm goes off, that annoying buzz sound, we like to hit the snooze button. And I said, you know what, that's great that we do, because sometimes we do need that extra time to snooze, but there's that whole phrase, you snooze, you lose. And what if we were receiving a really important call and we hit the snooze and we missed it? What happens if God really wanted to tell us something important? We said, yeah, not today. So as we think about also our alarm clocks that get us up in the morning and wake us up, maybe, just maybe, we also need to have more energy to be waking up into what it is that He might be calling us for. So I share with you a little bit about this concept of being able to trust in our wake-up call. I have a girlfriend who talks about that she gets woken up to songs, and she trusts God that she'll wake her, that He will wake her up every morning, whatever time that is that she needs to spend time with him. And so maybe some days she gets a little extra sleep. Maybe some days it's up really early because there's a lot of prayers and a lot of learning that she might do. Same with me. I talked about how I said, hey, if I need some learning, please wake me up. Or sometimes I'll just pray to my angels, like, make sure I wake up in the morning and use that. So we have these heavenly wake-up calls that are all around us and wanting to help us. We just need to ask. Then what was really critical for me this month was I took a class from an intuitive teacher, an online business mentor, Carrie Vollmer, and she created this class called the Clarity Revolution, where she's really all about helping us find our brilliance. We all know that we have a unique purpose or mission in the world, but being able to really define what that brilliance is, sometimes we're not as brilliant to do that. It's like I've been doing all this work and reading and reflections, and yet being able to put into word the brilliance isn't always as easy for me. So I just share with you a lot of the insights that I had around that, but most importantly was that I used this time to pray to God, and I said, the work that I'm doing here to find that clarity, because if you recall from the past month, I was surrounded in spirit, and I really started to see my true calling shift to more of a holy ambition. While the work that I've been doing with finding it has been incredible, and it still is, I also felt this nudge that maybe, just maybe, God was calling me even on a deeper level to share some of this spiritual insights. And so I would use this time during the class, especially when I had calls with Carrie, whether it was online or a group coaching call, and really prayed ahead of time and said, God, speak to me, speak through her to me. What is exactly the path that you want me to go to? And it was truly eerie. It was crazy. Some of the things that she said to me, and was like, oh my gosh, it really resonated, and yet also was just really got me thinking. And that's where I came with the whole thing, like, I don't think you're calling me. I think you have the wrong number. So, but it is important when we have these calls is that we know that there is a sweet spot. There is a sweet spot that each of us has when we can combine our, the things that we're good in, our talents, our unique abilities. What is it that the world is hungering for? And, what's a way that we can make a living off of that? And when we put them all together, we can have a sweet spot, a way that we can honor God in that and do those kind of God checks, to take in our intuition, to figure out, what exactly is happening here? Is this something that I need to explore further? And when it is, then we can do that, because there are so many wonderful things that are ready to help guide us. And in fact, let me just grab a couple of those here from our basket. So one of those is this, a pencil. And, if you look at a great pencil, it's a great analogy. And I wrote about how I am God's pencil. And this is just a beautiful analogy that I heard from Mother Teresa. One of my favorite quotes ever is that she said, I am just a little pencil in a writing God who's making a love letter to the world. I'm a little pencil in the hand of a writing God who's sending a love letter to the world. Isn't that beautiful? And she also has a quote around, also that sometimes I'm a pencil that's broken or worn out, and sometimes we need that extra sharpening. So I played on this analogy more because I really felt that that was happening with me. I would just say, okay, God, I'm your pencil. How can I do that? And for me, it was through writing. And I would just felt like as I would write, I would just let that flow and go and see what would happen and what it is that I was communicating through this. And it was cool too, because the great thing about pencils is they always have erasers. And that's like that in our life. We always have the opportunity when we make mistakes to erase it. Or maybe if things haven't gone exactly the way we want, we can rewrite it It's easy to do that when we have this and we allow ourselves to be God's pencil, to be something very humble, something very simple, and yet that's when He can use us to be so powerful to others. So there's another fun item in my Mayday basket here, and this makes it a little more creative to be a paintbrush. So we are also God's masterpiece, and we are creating and making something beautiful and anew. And so as we try to figure out what masterpiece that we might be creating, is that, sometimes we need a little help to know what is our spiritual gifts. Chip Ingram, one of my favorite Christian leaders and pastors, talks about that, where there's spiritual gifts that we've all been given, and we can use those spiritual gifts for the glory of God, is when we're using our best selves to help the kingdom, to help others grow into who they are meant to be, so that we too can help them create a beautiful masterpiece. And sometimes we think that our paintbrushes, the masterpieces that we are creating, is only for talented artists, maybe like a Thomas Kincaid or others out there. And yet God wants us to all know we are His masterpieces, and He has a master plan. Pieces of the puzzle are going to come together that only we can create and build for others. And one of my most favorite masterpieces that I've created with a little help of a friend is this. And now she is one of those beautiful artists, my friend Sarah Weingardner, who painted this beautiful picture to go along with this book that I designed and created. It's called the You're It, You Make a Difference tribute book. And I wanted to do something really special and honoring of my mom when she turned 60 and retired. I thought, children, we are really the masterpiece from our parents, right? God created us and they raised us, and so we are the message that they sent to the world. We are also their masterpieces. So how could I thank her? How could I use the gifts God has given me to say thank you to her? So what I did is I wrote a poem about how she makes a difference, and using this poem, then Sarah helped me create these beautiful images that go along with it. And so this book is set up like a scrapbook that you can then send a packet of cards to in somebody's life and say, hey, I want to honor and tribute this special loved one in our lives. So can you fill out one of these cards and let us know how this person makes a difference? And then you collect all these cards, you assemble them in the book, and voila, you have a beautiful masterpiece. One of those things that, my hope is that people would choose this item. If you had a fire in your house and there was only a few things you could bring, you would want this because it helps you understand that you truly have impacted the world and you have made a difference. So because you all make a difference to me and into the lives of others, I want to just read to you the You're It poem. You're it, the warm embrace that comforts my worries, a shining light radiating joy so I can sparkle, the roots that ground me deep in my purpose and values, the wings that uplift me higher than I ever imagined flying, the endless ear hearing me all the time when others don't, the hopeful heart giving me courage whenever I need it, the healing touch that makes me feel whole when I am broken, the many helping hands that support me when I need it the most, a shooting star inspiring me to believe in my dreams as much as you do, the center among chaos that brings harmony and peace when I'm out of balance, a whisper of wisdom encouraging my inner growth, and a beautiful butterfly waiting patiently by my side as I emerge a new person. So we have a masterpiece that we're given, and I have one more item in my Mayday basket, which is a mirror. And this mirror is all about how we reflect onto others. You know, we're given beautiful gifts. We're given this calling, which this month is all about. You know, how do we receive that calling? And it might be like you. We're all asked to be spiritual leaders in some way, if not in our own hearts and homes, but also maybe in the homes and hearts around us. And we can be a mirror then to reflect God's goodness, to reflect His love, to reflect our values, to reflect our example, the ways that we want to help others receive their call. But it's all about how do we get that clarity and have a revelation, have that aha where we're like, wow, this really does matter, so that we can have this spiritual evolution. And for me, really hearing the words coming back to me during our calls about, you know, you are a spiritual leader, and I am asking you to write a book, just blew me away. Even though up until this time I was writing, obviously all these flections, I had no idea that this would be something that would, you know, really metamorphosis into a book. So when we're aware for those wake-up calls, we can really bring those to life. But what's most important that I want each of you to hear is that all the work that you do, all of it, from folding the clothes, to making lunches, to sweeping the floors, to working with CEOs, to volunteering at schools and many churches and projects, whatever it is that you are doing, that you are being called, it is all sacred work. We have these incredible sacred relationships that God has brought into our life, and the work that I do and that you do might look very different, but it is all very, very important. And we are called to serve one another. We are all parts of one body of Christ. We are all asked to serve in whatever way. And when you have that evolution and that revolution and a revelation, then you can step out and you can answer the call. So whatever call that God might be calling you on, you can say, okay, I got your call. I have no idea how I'm going to do it, but I know that you've created me to be a masterpiece, and I am willing to follow in your steps in whatever way. So, from my heart to yours, be love.